Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So this is today's look. I created another tutorial using the Jaclyn Hill x Morphe palette. I just feel like this has been a really fun series for me, so I wanted to create something else, something a little bit more warm toned, a little bit fiery. So I went with this like red-orange look with a red-orange lip. These warm tones will look good on absolutely everybody, but especially those of you who have blue or green eyes. I feel like this will really make the color pop, and I really like how it turned out. It's a little bit different, it's a little bit bold, but it's still like wearable in my opinion. So before we get into this tutorial, as always, please make sure to hit that little subscribe button. Join the family. I would absolutely love it if you guys were on board. If you're already a subscriber of mine, just hit the little bell next to the subscribe button, and that'll just make sure that you'll be notified every single time I upload, so you will never miss out. I upload 3 times a week, so to ensure that you don't miss a video, make sure to hit the little bell. And with that being said, if you guys want to see how I got this red-orange makeup look using the Jaclyn Hill palette, then just keep watching. Okay, so I've already done my brows off camera, and then I put concealer underneath. Like I said in my last tutorial, not my last video, my skin has been really dry. I've been trying out a lotion for my acne, and I'm starting to get kind of irritated. I didn't know this would happen, so I'm just going to try to make it work, but that's why I have really dry patches. I'm going to try to get rid of some of those by taking the Embryolisse Late Cream something lotion just on a Q-tip, and I'm just going to like put this right below my brow bone. This usually helps really hydrate, but this might be like a little too scaly to fix. But that's alright. While I have this out, I'm actually just going to put this all over the face because my whole face is suffering, and this is the best thing that I've ever found for my dry skin. Normally I don't have this bad of dry skin, but when I do, this lotion helps so much. So I'm just going to put that all over my face. So I've stopped using the product that is doing this to my skin just for a couple days so that my skin can have a break. Otherwise, it would just get worse and worse. So I'm just waiting for my skin to kind of get back to being normal, and then I'm probably going to use it in lower doses because it seems to be working very intensely on my sensitive skin. So as you can see, I'm quite hydrated, but that's okay. My skin needs every bit of hydration that it can get. So as usual, to prime the eyes, I'm going to use the MAC Soft Ochre Paint Pot, and I'm just going to use a little concealer brush and put this on my eyelid. I usually put it up pretty high, but because I have a really dry brow bone today, I'm just going to kind of focus it as close to the lid as possible. I'd really love to know some good hydrating eye creams to help me with my dry eyelids right now. But I'm just going to go over that with some setting powder really quick so that the paint pot doesn't crease. So of course I'm going to go back into the Jaclyn Hill Morphe palette, and I'm going to start off the look with the same shadow I normally do. I'm going to use this shade right here called Silk Cream. I'm just going to start by taking a little bit of this through the crease as our transition shade. I'm also kind of bringing it in towards the inner corner and out further than normal, just to create a more elongated shape. Next, I'm going to hop into this shade right here. This is called Creamsicle. To me, it kind of looks more like a mustard shade than a creamsicle, but that's alright. And we're going to start to work this a little bit below that first shade, kind of in the crease a little bit, bringing it in the inner corner slightly as well, and then dragging it out slightly under where that other shadow was, but mainly focusing it in the crease. I'm actually going to drag the extra down onto like the center of the lid. Oh, my eyelids. Bless their little hearts. So the next color I'm going to grab is this one right here called Butter. I'm kind of moving up in color intensity. So we started with a light shade, and then we're just going to keep working up till we get a pretty dark shade. With this color, I'm just going to start to pat this about right here and move it over towards the outer corner of the eye. Also blend the extras into the crease a little bit. I'm focusing this color a little bit further in because we're going to start to put a red out on the outer corner. So it's kind of not necessary to place that shadow over there, but this will just kind of help all the colors blend in together, like the mustard shade and then the darker red. So I'm going to take this shade right here called Hunt, and this is going to be pretty much our main outer corner shade. Just going to use the same brush. We're going to start by lightly placing that on the outer corner of the eye, and then lightly dragging it into the crease as well. And I'm just really lightly dusting any extra up into this outer corner here, kind of dragging it out. Well, blend it out in a second, but I really want most of the pigment to be right here. I'm just going to going to take that blending brush that we used before for the transition shade and just kind of make sure that this part is blended out nicely. I'm just taking the extra and kind of patting it inward so we get a little bit of red over here, but mainly we focus it out there. And then using that same brush that we used before, I'm just going to make sure all these edges are blended. So now I'm going to be blending together Queen and Beam right here. Mostly Queen, but I want a little bit of Beam as well since it has a gold undertone. And this is the shade that's going to make the inner third pop. So I'm just going to press that on. So it's mainly going to be in this inner third, but then I'm going to just pat the extras down the center of the lid to help blend the two together. So I'm just going back in with that brush that we had before, blending it into the crease because I don't want to lose the red in the crease really. So I'm going to make sure I go back in. I didn't put any more product on this brush. It's just what product was left over. And then make sure it's all nice and blended with that first brush. So now I'm going to go into this deeper red. It's kind of a burgundy shade. This is called Jax. This is going to be our eyeliner today. So I'm just going to make sure that my brush is wet. You can wet it under the sink, but setting spray usually works best. So I'm going to spray that on my Sigma small angle brush. And then I kind of dabbed off the extra on my hand here. And I'm just going to put this on the top lash line. And I do want a wing today. So this shade is a little more burgundy than I thought it would be. So I'm just going to mix it a little bit with that red shade called Hunts, just so that it's kind of still in the red family, but I do like the purple actually. You obviously don't have to do this if you don't want to. You can keep it without liner. I just think it adds a little something. I'm actually way more into that burgundy liner than I thought it would be. So then I'm just looking straight into a mirror, making sure that the liner is as even as I can make it. So now I'm going to put mascara on. I'm going to go into the L'Oreal Voluminous Lash Paradise Mascara. This is amazing. It may be my new favorite of all time. I did just mention it in my favorites video, and it's amazing. And again, I kind of want the eye look to be more elongated, so I'm going to spend a little more time on these outer lashes just to make them look super bold and kind of draw attention out that way. Okay, so now let's move into the face. I obviously have moisturizer on, so I'm going to go into my Makeup Forever Step 1. This is the hydrating primer. I really like this primer, and again, my skin needs as much hydration as it can get right now, so I'm kind of overloading the hydrating products. But I'm mainly going to put this on the T-zone. So because I have a lot of redness and irritation, especially on my neck, I'm going to make sure to use a foundation that I know I can trust and that will give me great coverage. So that would be the Hourglass Vanish Stick Foundation. I love this foundation so much. I'm going to use mainly the shade called Shell. So I'm just going to start to draw some lines here, and I'm going to draw some down my neck too to help cover that up a little bit. It's a pretty full coverage foundation, so it should do the job. And then I do like to add a little bit of the Bisque shade because it's a little bit more yellow, so I just kind of put that in random places as well. I'll add it down the neck and a little on the forehead too. Just random places. I look crazy. I'm going to go ahead and buff that out with the Sigma F80 Flat Kabuki brush. This is my personal favorite way to blend out this foundation. I'm just going to kind of stipple it first and then buff. Blending out the neck, that certainly helped. It's still a little bit red, but it's alright. So I actually put a little bit of that underneath the eyes. I'm going to try it out as a concealer today because I read online that it can also be used as a concealer. So my skin is so dry, my friends. All my fellow dry skin ladies, what is a good foundation for dry skin? This is not an area of makeup that I've ever experienced before, so if you have really dry skin, let me know what foundations have worked for you, or maybe lotions or something. So that worked pretty well as a concealer, but I think I want a little bit more coverage. So I'm going to use my Tarte Shape Tape just a tad right under the eyes. I'm going to kind of use this to highlight as well, center of the face, and then dot any blemishes that I do have with that concealer too. And then blend it out with my mini Aesthetica beauty sponge as usual. I feel like the Shape Tape just gives it a little extra something. So now I'm going to take the Cover FX Perfect Setting Powder and just put a little in the cap and then just kind of set the concealer here. Considering how dry my skin is, this powder really doesn't accentuate the dryness too much. I'm going to take some of that on a little Laura Mercier powder puff and just kind of lightly dab all over the face. I'm going to set the neck area as well so that this foundation down here hopefully doesn't budge too much. This kind of looks like more of a sunburn now. Okay, so moving back to the Jaclyn Hill palette, I'm going to go into the mustard shade. It's kind of like mustard and ketchup, huh? This is called Creamsicle, and this is what I'm going to buff first on the lower lash line. And it's okay if this one's a little bit lower. It will look better once we're all finished. So now I'm going to go back into butter, and we're just going to kind of put that starting in the center of the eye underneath, close to the lash line, and blending it out. Then of course we're going to take the red shade called Hunt, and this is going to be mainly focused on the outer third of the eye. So that's where I'm starting to put it. And then I'm going to buff it down into that orange shade. And then I'm pulling it back underneath where we put the liner, so it's all connected. Then we can't forget, I'm going to mix the two gold shades, Queen and Beam, and this is going to be popped right in the inner corner here. In fact, I think I'm going to make it my inner corner highlight, so I'm just going to drag it in and then put it underneath the lower lash line. And then I'm just going to pop on a coat of that same exact mascara to the bottom lashes. For bronzer, I'm going into the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer, my all-time favorite bronzer. There goes the palette. And I'm just going to go ahead and bronze up the skin, just around like the perimeters of the face, wherever the sun would naturally hit. And make sure to get it into the hairline around your forehead. That'll just make it look even more natural, like you have an actual tan. Around the jawline, I'm putting a little down the neck as well. I'm gonna take some down the side of the nose and underneath the lip. For blush, I'm gonna go into one of my all-time favorite everyday shades. This is called Balm Beach, and since we've got some bright stuff going on, I'm just gonna use something really soft on the cheeks. So I'm just gonna put that right over where we put the bronzer, plus a little bit higher, just to give me like a barely there blush. For highlighter, I'm going to use Champagne Pop from Becca and Jaclyn Hill. Seems fitting, and I'm just going to put this on the high points of the face. This highlighter is so beautiful. I'm going to put it down the center of my nose a little, on the cupid's bow, a little on the chin, and a little just here, and then dust the extra underneath the brow bone. Then I'm going to set the face with the Skindinavia Bridal Setting Spray. I've been obsessed with this. Now for lips, I haven't actually quite decided which one I want to do. I'm going to start out with Hot Streak. This is from Estee Lauder, and it's one of their Pure Color Love lipsticks. Let's see if this works. Maybe it'll be too much, I'm not sure. Let's try. Normally I wouldn't do this, like a super bright eye and lip, but I'm kind of liking it because everything else is soft. I feel like it can work. So I think I'm going to leave it. You could obviously totally pair this with a nude lip or something like that, or something much softer, but I'm just going to keep it. I think it's kind of fun, it's kind of different. I am going to add a little bit more of that red shadow called Hunt. I just want to deepen up that area right there. Then I'm just going to put a little bit more under the lower lash line as well. So that completes this red-orange makeup look. I hope you guys liked it. Again, if you want something a little bit more muted on the lips, go ahead and do that. I feel like because the cheeks don't really have too much color, that this works, but it is more bold than I normally go because I don't usually do too super bold things, but I feel like it works, and as long as you wear it with confidence, it always works. I hope you guys are liking this series using the Jaclyn Hill Morphe palette. I feel like this is a palette that so many of you will probably have, and so let's be real, nobody just uses a palette once, at least they shouldn't, so that's why I'm trying to show you guys all the different kinds of looks that are possible with this palette. It's a palette that I feel like is so worth it, and it's really, seriously, it's all I've been using. So on your way out, please make sure to hit the subscribe button, and with that being said, I will see you all in my next video. Love you. Bye.